Hey guys, welcome back to It's Now or Never. This is episode 10, part 3, my story. So, oh my god, guys, it has been so incredibly long. It's been like 2 months, okay? Let's just forget about that part. I'm gonna be completely honest, college has been kicking my ass lately. I work 20 hours a week, plus whatever, and then I have 19 hours of school and 20 billion other things I do on the side. And guys, it takes so much emotional energy to be able to sit here and like record this for you guys. I mean, I really try to pour authenticity and everything I possibly have into these episodes. So it takes a lot of emotional energy just because I want to give everything to you guys. I want to give you guys the whole story of everything. So I've really been holding off on recording an episode because I haven't had that energy in me, and I don't want to send out some half-baked episode to you guys because I really do care. I care about the quality that I'm giving you guys and what you guys are listening to, because I also know there's a lot of people that are looking at my story and looking up to me. So I don't want to put out half of myself or a low energy piece of myself. So I'm just going to be real. College has been hard. College sucks. College is tough. That's that. Just a little update. I have been working my new job with the universities. I absolutely love it. I get to work with my best friend, Austin. We have so much fun. And I love my boss. I love everyone I work for. It's such an amazing team. So that is amazing that I get to do something I love every day. School-wise, oh my god, it's been crazy. 19 hours, like I said. It's been kicking my butt. And I also have decided I'm going to study abroad next fall. I was going to do it this spring, but it was a little rushed. So we'll be there next fall. I am going to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. So I'm super pumped. We're going to be like a European girly. I'm so excited. Okay. Besides that, I am in my new apartment. Oh my god, you can kind of see it in the background. So here we are. I'm so excited, and let's just get rocking and rolling. So why I am recording this episode is because I know I talked about how every 10 episodes, so like 10, 20, 30 was going to be a Q&A. I wanted to do that, but at the same time, I feel like this was a greater priority than that, which is part 3. So this, I think, is going to be the final part of just sharing my story. Now, this isn't over. It's ongoing. With my case, I actually was informed a few weeks ago that there were 7 new co-conspirators arrested. So that means there are now 8 men on trial for my case. So it's a lot. The first plea hearing is in the middle of this month, so just in a couple weeks. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. So stay tuned for that. So I guess let's get rocking and rolling. I know I kind of touched on my story in the recent 2 episodes, but I have had a lot of family and friends coming to me and telling me this isn't everything. Like, I am scratching the surface with you guys and I don't even realize it. I feel like I've been sharing this story over and over and I'm like a broken record. So there's things I'm skipping over and there's things I'm not like going into depth enough with that I think are very valuable things that there are a lot of girls out there that really need to hear. And I know there's also other people listening to this that go to my school, that know me, and you're listening to this because you want to know the full story, whatever. Welcome. So yeah, if you guys ever want to reach out to me, have any questions, please do. Ask me any questions you have, give me comments, whatever. I would love to hear all of them. So we're just going to start all the way back on day 1 of is in March of 2021. Wow. It was a long time ago, very long time ago. So I had gotten a message from Team Snapchat. So I thought it was a text message that I had all my social media set to two-factor authentication, which I 100% recommend to anybody and everybody. If you don't do anything else, like, listen to this and do this. Set every single social media, every important account of yours, set it to two-factor authentication if you can, okay? So what happened is I was sent a code to my phone number, and so I thought somebody was logging into my Snapchat. Somebody was trying to log in. I didn't really know what was going on, and so Team Snapchat, so I thought, texted me and, said, this person with this IP address, and I will actually put a screenshot of that up in this video. But they're basically just saying, someone with this IP address is trying to log into your account. If this isn't you, say yes, whatever, say no, whatever, something like that. And I said, no, this isn't me. And then they said, okay, verify your identity, verify the verification code we just sent you. And I was stupid and I did. And so, long story short, this person got into my account. I had no clue that they were even in my account. And then my account was unlocked. I was able to get back in. Everything was like the way I left it. I didn't know I was hacked. And so a day later, I'm sitting in bed, getting ready to go to bed so I go to school the next morning, whatever. A random account with the name of Luke added me. And I had it set to where anybody on Snapchat could contact me. Nobody had to add, I didn't have to have anybody added back. And so this guy named Luke, and I knew 20 Lukes. And this guy was like, oh, do you remember who I am? No, I had no clue who he was. He had a snap code of maybe 200. And so for anybody that doesn't understand, because I know I have grandparents that listen to this, a snap code is basically, so you get a point for every snap you send or receive, every time you post on your story. So I have a snap code of 800,000, okay? And it kind of shows how long you've been on the app. So you can distinguish a spam account very easily. If they have a really low snap score, you can kind of gauge the fact if they're fake or not. So this guy had a really low snap score, and I was like, I don't remember you at all. He proceeded to send a screenshot of some photos that were in my Snapchat, in my Eyes Only, in my memories, and some of them were private photos that I had sent my boyfriend at the time that I thought was just for us, just for him. And that is a whole nother story, going into talking about, sending pictures and just how much of a social norm it is nowadays, which is so sad. But that's another story for another time. Sends me these screenshots as well as a screenshot of a document, okay? This document has my name, my address, my social medias, who my parents are, where I go to school, a list of my friends, because this person got into my Snapchat. He knows my best friends list. He knows who I Snapchat the most. So he very easily was able to figure out who I was closest to, who I knew best, who my boyfriend was, who my best friends were, all of that. And with being in my Snapchat, he was able to see all my contact information, which was also on this document. So, my Snapchat, my Instagram, my Twitter, my phone number, my email, all that good stuff was all on this document. And basically he was like, do what I want for 7 days, or else I'm going to post this online and ruin your life. And basically continue to reiterate the fact of how incredibly this could destroy my life. Nobody would want to be friends with me anymore. Everyone would see the real me, how he put it. And I said, no, F you. I blocked him. that pissed him off. And he added me again on another account. And this, you'll see a pattern here. He continued to create new accounts, new phone numbers, new emails, new Instagrams, new Twitters, whatever. He did whatever he possibly could to contact me. Now, in hindsight, I know that it wasn't only him. Well, that's not confirmed. I mean, innocent until proven guilty, right? But under my impression, I believe that there was at least more than one person involved, possibly all 8 people that are on trial, which is disgusting. But he added me on another account and really was just like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to piss me off. You probably want to do what I say and follow what I'm telling you to do. And so I told him, I was like, what if I call the cops? And he said, they're not going to find me. You're stupid. They would never find me. I believed him. I really thought that, okay, maybe they can't. Okay, this guy's a hacker. He probably knows what he's doing. And then I said, what if I was suicidal? What if this made me kill myself? Because you tell me how much you're going to ruin my life by this. What if that's what happens? And at this point, this is where I knew how serious he was, because his response to that was, there's some really disgusting men online that would love to see pictures of a dead girl. And at that point, my heart dropped. I did not know what to do. I felt so alone. I didn't know who to talk to. This was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting up in bed by myself. What was I going to do? Walk down the hallway to my parents' room and say, Mom, this guy's trying to hack me and he has pictures that I sent my boyfriend? No, she's probably going to be mad at me. I had no clue what to do. So I was just like, what do you want me to do? I didn't know. And so I blocked him because I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to contact him. I didn't want to communicate with him, but I didn't want to tell anyone that this was happening. The next morning I wake up, and at this time I was like going to the gym really early, working out, and then going to school. So it was pretty early in the morning. I had just gotten Chick-fil-A, some good breakfast, grubbing in my car, whatever. And I get a text message. And again, another recurring pattern is he would pose as other people. So this was a text message from what I thought was, well, not what I thought. I knew it was him, but he made himself look like a girl. Okay. So he posed as a girl and added me on Snapchat with this girl Bitmoji. And again, for anybody listening or watching that doesn't know what a Bitmoji is, it's like an avatar that's connected to your account. So like a profile picture almost, a cartoon avatar that you make. And so this one looked like a girl. It was a girl's name, and basically they added me and said, hey girl, I'm just looking out for you. I found you on this website. Okay. Again, I have another account that adds me. It's a guy. Hey, I'm just trying to look out for you. I accidentally scrolled past you on this website. They both sent me the link. I open this link, and the site is now taken down, but it was like anon.ib, something like that. It was an anonymous platform used for mainly child pornography. So there are a bunch of different tabs on this, organized by state, organized by age, blonde, brunette, whatever. And a big tab was teen. That's where I was on. And he posted pictures of me, private photos, along with that document, all of my personal information. And I felt completely helpless. At this point, I actually felt like this man had a hold on my life and was in control of me. He held the key. He told me, he said, I have the password to take this down, because there was a section where you can enter a password and it takes it down off the website. That's the only way to get it taken down, unless you contact the website. I didn't know at the time that you could even contact the website though. And so I say, okay, what do you want me to do? Because at this point I was like, what's the worst? There's already photos of me up there. What's going to happen? And he said, well, just because you're pretty, I'll take it down from 7 days to 3 days. And it was almost like a game for him. And I just want to say, this is such a unspoken subject, and it's very uncomfortable to talk about. It's very taboo, but at the same time, I am doing this for a reason. I am sharing these extremely difficult subjects because there are, sadly, young girls, women, even boys. Actually, it is more common for this to happen to boys than girls, just so you know. And so if you are not comfortable listening to this, I do want to say, like, I do talk about some graphic things here. And so if you cannot listen to this, I suggest you turning this off. Maybe fast forwarding to the like middle section of the episode, probably in about, I'd say, 5 minutes. So fast forward 5 minutes and you'll get past this part. But I was just kind of like, he told me that he told me that if I did what he wanted for 3 days, he would take these down. Okay. So I drove home, and at this point, we were still in the midst of COVID. I was virtual online. None of my parents were home. My brother wasn't home. So nobody knew what was going on. And it began with, take a selfie. Okay. Take a picture of yourself in the mirror. Take your shirt off. Take your shorts off. Take your bra off. Take your underwear off. And it was a series of photos. And then it progressed into videos and just things that were more and more graphic. There was a few times where he made me say my name. Everything, my face had to be in it. He made me make trendy TikToks, but with minimal clothes on. And in my opinion, the worst thing that he made me do was what he called a catfish set. And it was basically a series of like 5 to 10 photos, just regular stuff I would send my friends, right? But he then later would use these on other girls like he did with me. So he, throughout these 3 days, he would pose as a girl or a guy, adding me on Snapchat, trying to become friends with me, because there was a certain time where I began to ignore him. This girl adds me on Snapchat, acts like she goes to my school, okay? She's Snapchatting me, and I had told him that I was in school, in person, in school, so I couldn't do stuff. I was virtual online, but I didn't want to talk to him all the time. He was completely taking over my life, wanted to know everything about me, and so I told him I was in person. Sorry, I can't talk to you, I'm in class. This girl added me on Snapchat, was acting all friendly. Oh, I go to insert school name here, blah, blah, blah. And basically, she was like, oh, are you in person or online? I said, oh, I'm online. And then he contacts me through his account and says, or his main account, and says, "Don't lie to me. I will make your life worse." And at that point, he proceeded to post a couple of photos on me again online. So because of that, because I went against him, he chose to punish me for going against him and for lying to him. And I just realized at that point I was digging myself into a deeper and deeper hole, and I had no way out. I did not know what to do. I was manic, freaking out. I had a pit in my stomach. I didn't eat for days. And I was just in this hole that I didn't know how to get out of. So the one solution I came up with was to block him on everything, completely ignore him, and just stop responding. I remember there was a point I was at work for 2 hours. I got over 400 text messages from him. He would blow up my phone. I would ignore him. And there was this one time I was ignoring him and he said, "I know you're ignoring me. You just made your Twitter account private." He had tabs on me at all times. He would message me from one number and I would block him. And then he'd message me from another number and another one and Instagram accounts. And during this time, he wasn't the only one trying to contact me. It was every other man online that had discovered me and seen pictures of me and now had my personal contact info. And so my phone was blowing up all the time. Now I was being solicited for nudes, for private photos, for 40-year-old men, probably. My pictures were being traded online. I had an OnlyFans made under my name. And so at this point, nobody in my life knew. This was April. And there was a firestorm that started online. I was being stalked. I was being harassed. Thank the Lord that nobody actually tried to come find me and take me, because that is just, it's incredible that didn't happen, that somebody online didn't try to show up and find where I was, because it probably would have been very easy. So this firestorm starts online, and a cycle of people, of these men, just start trying to blackmail me and do this exact same thing to me. Some people are offering me money. Some people are threatening to send these photos to my parents, to my friends, all of these things. I just remember this one time freaking out because this guy was, luckily he was bluffing, but said, do what I want or else I'm going to send this to your mom. Oh, this is her Facebook page. Look, I'm going to send it to her. Oh, this is your dad's Facebook page. Oh, look, I know who all works for your dad. I'm going to send these photos to them. What are they going to think of you then? And I, at this time, began to contact sites on my own, websites that I found photos of myself on, and really trying to get these photos taken down. And so, I would message these sites, add a picture of my ID saying, "These photos are me. These need to be taken down. I will contact law enforcement." I never did at that point, but that's what I was doing, and I was trying to keep up with it. Literally every free chance I got, every time I got into my car, every time I went into the bathroom at school, I was constantly checking, Googling my name online, and it was constantly on my mind, creating a complete document on my notes app on my phone. If I pulled it up right now, you would be in shock on how many links are on that. And luckily I documented everything. I stayed on top of things. I knew what was going on. I knew what people were saying about me. I knew what sites these were going on. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't think this was ever going to end, but I thought that if I took care of it and I never told anyone, it would go away. So fast forward 6 months later, we're in September, and I am competing at the Teen Texas pageant. I was never a pageant girl, but I made the decision to compete in this pageant. And so I put my profile public again because I'd made my Instagram profile private. So I'm like, I'm going to make it public. All these girls have their profile public. They're all tagging Teen Texas, blah, blah, blah. It's this whole thing, okay? And while I'm there, the last day, somebody threatens to blackmail me. So as I am training, going on stage, hanging out with all these girls, trying to just immerse myself in the whole experience, now in the back of my head, I have this going on. I have a pit in my stomach once again, and I'm just trying to be a regular girl, and I can't. So on the drive home to Dallas, this person gets serious, and they say, if you do not do what I want, I'm going to send these photos to your little brother and his friends. Because at the time, I am a senior in high school, and my little brother is a freshman. We go to the same high school, and his friends know who I am. And so that night, we got home, I pulled my brother to the side, and I said, hey, I think somebody is trying to threaten me. Somebody's trying to do something. Don't worry too much about it, but they might try to contact you. The next day, this person sent photos to one of my brother's friends, who luckily reported it to the school. Now the school called me in, the law enforcement were there, and I kind of briefed them on this situation that had started when I was on my way home from Teen Texas, but I lied, and I never told them about this previous situation, the bigger situation, how this even happened. And, this person that had contacted me, I thought it was just someone from my school, because they said they were from my school. They said that they had watched me in the hallways, and they had always wanted to, quote unquote, know what I looked like under my clothes. And so I just told the school that. I said, I think it's some kid in my classes. I don't know. He appears to know me really well. Maybe he actually just did a lot of stalking online. That I never figured out. But then at this time, over this next week, someone begins to contact some friends of mine, DMing them on Instagram saying, hey, do you have Alex's phone number? Can you get Alex to call me? Can you get Alex to text me? I'm really trying to get a hold of her. I can help her. No, this person wasn't trying to help me, but I never contacted them. I told my friends, just ignore it. Don't worry about it. September 23rd, 2021. In the morning, this guy contacts me, and the original person that did this to me. And it's, again, another early morning. I'm getting back from a workout, sitting in my driveway. I pull up my texts, and it's a random phone number that says, I'm going to ruin your life. I'm going to teach you a lesson for not doing what I wanted. And proceeded to send me a screenshot of my friends that I had posted photos with on Instagram. So I had a picture posted with my best friend on Instagram, and you know how you tap the photo and you could see the tagged person in the post? Well, he had screenshotted that part. So a picture with me and my best friend, and then a picture with me and my boyfriend at the time. And he said, now your friends are going to really know who you are. And no one's going to want to be friends with you anymore. I'm going to ruin your life. So that day, sent it to my best friend. I told her, said, hey, here's what's going on. Please just delete the message and block them. And she said, okay, I got you. I promise I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell anyone, whatever. Then they sent it to my boyfriend's older sister. I had no clue about this. She was in college at the time. She didn't tell me that this had happened, but she told her mom. She didn't even tell her little brother. And then they sent it to my boyfriend. And he texted me and he said, hey, we really need to talk. and I knew exactly what it was about. And we met up in a parking lot, we talked, and I really tried to explain it to him, and he didn't believe me. It had looked like I was contacting somebody and just sharing these photos with someone. I think that he was really taken aback with these photos, with these malicious messages that were sent to him about me, just kind of saying like, oh, now you see what kind of person she really is. Now you see who she really is. What do you think about her now? And basically he said, hey, like, my mom knows, and you're gonna have to tell your mom. So the next morning I told my mom. Again, she didn't understand. She didn't get it. It didn't make sense to her. She didn't know what to do. She was very angry, and I love my mother, but she had no clue how to react. And my dad didn't know how to react either. I think both of my parents were very distraught and just did not know what to do. I mean, how do you protect your child from the internet when they're almost 18 years old? I was still a child, but like, how do you protect your child from the internet? You can't. In today's society, you can't. When this had been going on for 6 months without anybody knowing. So my mom went to the police department with me, and we made a report, and we wrote everything down, and then I started therapy, which was the best thing that I could have ever done, is start therapy. I don't know what would have happened, but I was in a very, very, very bad mental spot at this point. I'm really good at sweeping things under the rug, sweeping my problems under the rug, and acting like nothing had happened. But I couldn't do that anymore, that now that everybody in my life knew that this was going on. Well, everybody close to me. It hadn't really gotten out to school at this point, but after, reporting this to the police, they spent weeks and weeks trying to find this person. They had downloaded my phone information, tried to go through that, tried to figure out who this person was. They couldn't track the IP address. Now, this was my county police department, Collin County Police Department, because I'm from Dallas, and they couldn't figure it out. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't track it. The IP address was going to California. It was going to Africa. It was going to Europe. It was going to Australia. They could not figure out who it was. It was kind of like, hands up, we can't help you. I'm sorry. And on Christmas Eve was when it got bad. So Christmas Eve of 2021, I'm sitting on the couch watching Christmas movies with my family, as one does on Christmas Eve. And there was a kid from a school about 30 minutes south of me and contacted me and sent me photos of myself and kind of said, hey, is this you? And it was something they had gotten online. I told them that's child pornography, that's illegal, and they immediately deleted the message and blocked me. That same night, it had gotten to the bordering high school to me, which is a ginormous high school with a graduating class of 1,800 kids. You can imagine how bad that was. By the next day, it had gotten to my high school, and everybody knew. So getting back to school the second semester of my senior year was really hard. I was getting harassed at school. Kids were yelling at me in the hallways, laughing at me, pointing at me, making jokes, and nobody cared to do it in front of me. They did not care how it affected me. I would go to class, and kids would make fun of me in class. Kids would follow me out to my car at school. Kids would throw things at my car. And one of the other things, kids started airdropping photos of me around school. I became the running joke. Nobody cared. Nobody cared what this was doing to me. Kids would follow me home. Kids would prank call me, obviously harass me on social media. along with everybody on the internet harassing me as well. So you can imagine how bad of an effect that had on me. I lost 90% of my friends. People did not want to be seen with me. People did not want to be associated with me. Girls that I had been friends with forever did not want to be seen with me anymore. I was more of a liability to them. And so I luckily had my parents stuck by me. Some of my best friends stuck by me. I mean, Paris, my cousin Hannah, Piper, those girls were, Jenna, Jasmine, like those girls were not scared to be seen with me. They weren't scared to be friends of mine. And if anybody judged them, it was kind of screw you. And I think having those people saved my life. Having those small group of people that I could lean on, having the gym, I started working out, that became my safe space. I was able to leave everything at the door or process through my day and my emotions. I could either do that or I could forget about anything. Everything that had happened that day, just drop it all. And I was able to control what happened to me when I worked out. Whereas I felt like when I went to school, I didn't know what was going to happen. So the problem is going through my senior year with all of this, I didn't want to apply to colleges. I didn't even want to talk about colleges with my parents, because the reality was I couldn't even see myself walking across the stage at graduation. I didn't know if I was going to make it through high school or not. I genuinely did not. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I felt like I was drowning and that everyone around me was pushing me under. And so I finally made a decision to start touring schools. So I set a date on January 21st to go tour Oklahoma State University up in Stillwater. Go Pokes. And on January 20th, the day before, the day we were going to leave, I'm backing out of the driveway. I was going to go pick up my little brother from school so then we could get ready and drive up to Stillwater that night. As I'm backing out, there is a man standing in my driveway. He's dressed up like maybe someone that's going to come work on the house. He's in boots and jeans and like a Carhartt jacket. He's got a hat on. Looks like your average Joe, right? He signals me to get out of the car, so I step out of the car and I'm like, hey. And he's like, hi, you must be Alexandria. Is your mom Brooke home? Yeah, let me go get her. So I go inside. Hey, Mom. Some guy's here. I don't know. I think he's like gonna work on the house. I don't know. He's asking to talk to you. She did not ask for anybody to come over. What do you mean? Who did he say he was? Who is he with? What do you mean? So we go outside and he introduces himself and he's, hi, I'm Agent so-and-so and I am with the FBI. I need to talk to you guys. Oh my God. This was a turning point. We go inside and he verifies my information, verifies my ID, asks me, do these usernames sound familiar to you? Did this happen to you? And it was almost like a weight was lifted off of my chest because somebody finally understood. Somebody finally knew what had been going on to me, what had been happening for almost the past year. And he said, hey, we have this many victims, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say the number because it is an ongoing investigation right now, but it was mind-boggling, the amount of girls that were involved in this. And he said, we need to bring you in for questioning. Can you come in for an interview? 1,000%. My mom and I were able to breathe a breath of relief. I I think we were both crying at that point. And it was like my guardian angel had finally come. They finally understood, and things were finally moving. And so he told me that this man that did this to you has been arrested. He is in custody with the FBI, and there are co-conspirators, possibly, that we're looking into. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's a 22-year-old male and a completely random man. I had no clue who this man was. Didn't even recognize his name. And that night, we drove up to Stillwater. The next day, I toured the school, and my vice principal called me. She said, "Hey, Alex, I know what you've been going through," because, administration had been pretty helpful to me, and said, "Hey, I know what you're going through. Are you open to doing this fast track so you can graduate?" And so basically, because I only needed half of a credit to graduate, and so I had to go to school for all 8 hours of the day, and it was like hell. And so I had an option to finish this English course online. So I would show up, go to the same classroom every single day, sit in there all day until I finished my work, and go home. And it was almost like everything worked out, and it was kind of a sign that when I went to OSU, the fact that this had all happened, that's when I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. I was supposed to go to Oklahoma State University, and it felt like home to me. And so I said, yes, I would love to do this. And I actually ended up graduating in March of 2022. So literally right before spring break, I was done, which was a blessing. It was a blessing and saved my mental health. So February 7th, after I got back from this interview, February 7th, after I had gotten back from my tour from OSU, I had my FBI interview. So I had gone to the Child Advocacy Center in Dallas, and I did my interview. They put you in a tiny little room with a very nice lady and a security camera, and that's where your two FBI agents are behind the wall, monitoring the whole conversation, taking notes, whatever. Before this, I had gone to therapy just to mentally prepare for this. Literally, I went straight from therapy to my interview because this was the first time I was ever going to share my story, front to finish. I remember when she had asked me what I had to do, I could not even speak the things that this man made me do. And yes, I said the things he made me do. There are people that sit here and say, "Oh my God, I would have never done that. I would have just blocked him." When somebody has that much control of your life, what would you do? When you are staring fear at its face, what would you do? I could not even tell her the things I did. I couldn't say it out loud. I literally had to write it on a piece of paper. It was very difficult for me, but what kept me going was the fact that I had the motivation to be able to do this. I had the strength, I had the voice, and there were a lot of girls that didn't. And that is who I was doing it for. I was doing it for the girls that couldn't, as well as the girls that didn't make it. Because there are girls in my case that have committed suicide and did not make it through. And that is who I continue to do things for. It's the girls that did not make it through this awful, awful thing. So I go into my interview. I graduate high school a month later. And then in May, I walk across the stage. In July of 2022, so just 2 months later, I'm getting ready for college. There's a guy in a fraternity at Oklahoma State that DMs me on Instagram. He's going into his sophomore year, and his name is Max. And he DMs me a photo of me from online, a child pornography, basically. He DMs me child pornography straight up and says, "Oh, is this you?" I deny it. I said, "Oh, no, that's not me." He says, "Oh, I know it's you. I know it's you." Continues to harass me, and I say, "That's child pornography. That's against the law." Continues to harass me. Does not care that he's breaking the law. It's disgusting. And this is where I was about to go to college at. Wow. Okay. Really just set the stage. So a month later, I rush Kappa Delta, a sorority at my university, and at that point, I was forced to stand up in front of 200 other girls and share my story. And then I was turned against and kicked out of my sorority because they were girls that were embarrassed of me. Nationals turned a blind eye. The university turned a blind eye. And this is nothing against Kappa Delta as a whole, but how nationals handle it, how the exec team handled it, was disgusting. And there are a lot of amazing girls that I met and I'm still friends with in that chapter, but there are also a lot of bad apples. And not only in Kappa Delta, in every Greek life sorority. And so the biggest issue through all of this, the trauma, most of the trauma did not come from that original first 3 days. Not at all. That trauma came from the re-victimization from my peers that happened on almost a daily basis. The fear that anytime I went to class, that anyone who looked at me, anyone who spoke around me was talking about me. They knew everything about me. Everyone knows who I am. Everyone knows everything about me. I felt like completely exposed to everyone because all it took was a simple Google search to know my deepest, darkest secrets. Luckily now I have been in contact with some amazing organizations. The FBI has been a great help to me. The Department of Justice has been an amazing help to me. The National Missing and Exploited Children have been such a big help. NECMEC, Take It Down is one of their programs they have, which I have people working for me now to get my stuff taken down. I can't tell you the last time I Googled myself, which is such a sigh of relief. The fact that I don't have that weight on my chest anymore and I can be one step closer to a normal college student is such a big deal. It is such a big deal. In March, I started my podcast and we're still here. Yeah, it's been a really rocky road, but I've talked about this before, but I share my story not for myself. I don't care how many people listen to this. I don't care how many likes or follows I get on social media. I want to share my story to the masses and I want to help people because sadly, this is such a big issue that is plaguing society, and it's happening right under our noses. And the biggest issue is how we treat victims. Victim advocacy is one of my biggest platforms that I want everyone to open their eyes to. And, I shared my story. I came out with my story in July, which was it was amazing. It was another huge step in this whole thing because I really am almost a pioneer to this. There are a very select few group of women that have actually come out and shared their story and shared their whole story. And at this point, I have nothing left to lose. So if you want to harass me, go ahead. If you want to say shitty things to me, go ahead, because it doesn't faze me. I have been through so much already. I know how to deal with it and I know how to handle it. But I was robbed of so many basic experiences. I tried to re-rush. I didn't make a sorority. You can guess why. Because I'm looked at as a porn star, somebody who has an OnlyFans, somebody who sells their body, which is the last thing that I would do. I think if anything, this has taught me the amount of self-respect I should have for myself. I have learned so much more about myself, and since this has happened to me, I love myself so much more. I've been forced to love myself because I've been by myself and forced to learn how to be alone and be okay with it. But we need to realize, like, mental health is real. As cliche, as cringy as that sounds, mental health is a real deal. And we need to start believing victims. Because it is disgusting how victims are treated of child exploitation, of sextortion in general. It's disgusting. And the re-victimizing that continues to happen, that is what is causing victims to commit suicide and take their own lives. It is sickening. It is sickening. And I sit here every day and I ask myself what would have happened if I wasn't strong enough. Because there are so many times that I could have been so close. Because I was drowning for so long and none of my peers wanted to reach out. My parents were doing the most that they possibly could and all they knew that they could do, but everybody else around me continued to push me down, and it continues to happen, but I know how to deal with it now. I know how to be okay, and at the end of the day, you're not going to have to answer to me. How you treat me, you're not going to have to answer to me. That's your problem one day, not mine. But just going forward, we need to open our eyes to this. Child exploitation, 1 in 4 victims of child exploitation are under the age of 13. It leads to anxiety, depression. The trauma leads to memory loss, isolation. It robs victims of their childhood. I was robbed of my childhood and forced to grow up because I was sexualized so heavily online and by my peers. Just the things that we hear, like, as victims, how this person, like, I'm going to destroy your life. Everybody's going to disown you. Your life is over. It is so dehumanizing. And it makes you feel like an object. It makes you feel so much less than. And that shouldn't be the case. There needs to be more resources for victims. There needs to be more people willing to extend a hand, because these organizations cannot do it by themselves. NCMEC cannot do it by themselves. The FBI cannot do it by themselves. This is why victims are scared to come forward and speak up about their experiences and talk about what has happened to them. I mean, we can talk about just the thousands of victims that have committed suicide because of this. I know some of the most recent ones. We have Ryan Last, who is 17, a high school senior. He was a Boy Scout and sexually exploited online at the age of 17 and committed suicide. Waylon Sheffer, the age of 16, committed suicide. Riley Basford, he was 15. The standout football and lacrosse player, committed suicide because he was a victim of child exploitation. Walker Montgomery, a 16-year-old, committed suicide at the age of 16. Amanda Todd, a Canadian teen, she committed suicide at the age of 15. If we look at some of these cases, the case of Ashley Reynolds. She was 14. The man who did that to her, there were over 350 victims, and he got over 105 years in prison in Phoenix, Arizona. The most recent case, Jordan DeMay, was 17 years old. The Marquette High School senior committed suicide literally 6 hours after he was approached for money. This is traditional financial sextortion, where the perpetrator has a personal photo of them and forces them to send them money, or else they will post this online. Last year in 2022, this happened to 40,000 victims. Traditional financial extortion. 7,000 of which were minors, and 5% of students are victims. 5% of students are victims of sextortion. 5% of students are victims of sextortion. That is disgusting. And there are things that need to change. There are things that need to change. Parents, we need to actually educate our children about this, not just threatening that this is what's going to happen if you send photos, but if this happens to you, this is what can happen, and this is what we can do to fix it. We need to educate our teens that you will not get in trouble if you come forward to the police about this. You will not get in trouble. If you're a victim of child exploitation, if this is happening to you, if you have not said anything, if this has happened to a friend, go to the police. That is the one solution, is go to the police. Go to NCMEC, National Missing Exploited Children. It is linked on my Instagram on inon.pod, and they have all of the resources for you. The FBI and National Missing Exploited Children are the two most valuable platforms to go to, the most helpful organizations. If you DM me, I can give you their information. I can give you all the proper resources. I would love to help you. I would love to stand by you and hold your hand through this process, because I know how hard it was going through something and not having somebody to look at as an example. That was the hardest part, was being alone, and the fact that I never knew anybody that this had happened to. Nobody that had made it through this, at least. And we need more people to speak up. So I think that's really going to be the end of this episode today. I wanted to finish off and just sit down and share the whole complete story with you guys. It's also really hard to cover things that have happened over the course of it's 2.5 years now, which is a really long time. But it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to understand, and it's a lot for me to talk about. And I want you guys to recognize the emotional energy that this takes me. But I do it for you guys, because I love you guys, because I want to help somebody out there. If there is one person's life that I save, this will have been a success. All of this is for success. So I love you guys so much. Please stay tuned for the next episode, and follow me on Instagram, inon.pod, inon.pod on Instagram. Feel free to leave me a review. And also, I have a poll in the description of this episode on Spotify. So if you go engage with that poll, that would be awesome. I would love to hear whatever you guys have to say. If you have any questions, shoot those to me as well. And also, this is now up on YouTube, so you can watch the video on there, watch a video on Spotify, whatever you want. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, who stuck around this long. I know 2 months of silence is a lot, and I'm so sorry. I'm a human too, but I love you guys so much, and have a great month of October. And yeah, I love you guys. Bye.